Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to talk about the MCX and why you should be using it now that BSG has buffed it 3 times since it came out. I stream every day on Twitch from usually about 2 p.m. Eastern to about 6 p.m. Eastern. So hit the follow button to catch me live. And this footage was also recorded from my stream. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. All right, MCX. Is it good? It's your boy Church. Yeah, so MCX. All right, so MCX. Yes, let's talk about it. This gun, when it first came out about like start of the year, it was like Omega poo poo because a lot of reasons. A lot of people complained it had a lot of recoil, and there was a issue where when you put on the suppressor for it, it would still have a muzzle flash effect. And I'll have like a edit here where it shows what it used to look like and what it looks like now. So they fixed that very recently, and they reduced the recoil. It went from 175 vertical to 162 and 43 to 42 horizontal. And in addition, there was a patch recently where they changed all of the... There's like a mechanic in the game where it's called like camera recoil, and it's basically just like this visual thing where your PMC's head like kicks back and your gun like aims down. Like it's very annoying, so they like kind of like toned it down on a lot of guns. Like I think the SMG's got like the most buff in that regards, but the M6 was also affected. So that's helped a lot. So considering all 3 of those things, right, is the gun good now? Is it usable? Short answer, yes. What I think is, I think it actually is very viable and actually fits into the meta pretty nicely. And it's actually very interesting about the ammo. We'll get into that a little bit later, but first let's talk about the cost. So the gun itself, you can buy from on the flea market for about 70k. You can buy from Skier level 3 for about 70k. You can also buy it level 2 as a barter, and you save about 10k there. This adds up to about 60k roughly. And the thing about this gun is when you buy it from the traders, it pretty much comes with like all the attachments you need for it. The only thing you really need is this suppressor. This is like one of the more unique guns because you can put the suppressor on there, or you can put this T-lock and then this muzzle brake, and then on top of the muzzle brake you can put the suppressor, which gives you, as you can imagine, a lot of stat bonuses. So here we go from 91 to 65 vertical recoil, which honestly is pretty much the thing that makes this gun viable, is the suppressor. Any other like rails and handguards and things of that nature, it really doesn't change the stats that significantly. So with that being said, you could, in my opinion, run this gun like this, just stock with the suppressor, and it's perfectly usable. You can go all out and fully kit it out, you know, make it some really fancy doodah gun with all this cool stuff, but that's up to you. A lot of people compare it to the M4, right? And in my opinion, here's like my quote-unquote meta MCX. And in my opinion, buy the gun for about 70k, right? Edit presets, select weapon, got that open. I'm gonna open up my MCX meta build, and we'll drop off bag, find parts. There we go. So about 200k plus the cost of the gun, or actually, yeah, 200k including the cost of the gun, right? You come over here to this meta M4. We hit find parts, and you can see it's much more expensive. Now part of that is because this suppressor costs a lot, the rail costs a lot, like there's a lot of extra costs here, but it's a meta gun, you know what I mean? It's really good. It's got 34 recoil, 34 horizontal, so it should be very good, you know. So when you think about that, I kind of think of it as like a budget M4 build, right? And here I built an M4. and it has 60 recoil. Isn't bad. And then we're gonna take this gun. This is like my budget MCX. Again, the suppressor is like really cheap. I mean, it's only like 40k, and that's like the only part you need. We're gonna take this and our sights. Go into the hideout real quick. And remember, the MCX has 65 recoil, and the M4 has 60, I want to say. This little budget M4. And this budget M4 only cost me like 1,000 rupees. Sorry, 100,000 rupees to mod extra. This is the M4. Slightly controlled the recoil there. Also slight recoil control. But I mean, for whatever reason, the MCX just feels better. We'll just do no recoil control. M4, no recoil control. They're pretty similar, honestly. But for 5 points of difference, they don't really feel that much different. So what's the big fuss, right? Why use the MCX? The thing with the MCX, this ammo, this AP ammo, is that it has... We'll just pull up the website. So let's kind of compare the two. MCX Blackout is 300 Blackout. It has 55 damage, 44 pin, 60% armor damage. Here we have the M855A1. It has 45 damage, 34 pin, 52 armor damage. And it has some other stats, but we're not overly too concerned with these other things. What's interesting about it is, even though it's only one more pin than the M855A1, it actually matters a lot, believe it or not. Maybe not a lot, but it definitely impacts the things related to time to kill and shots to kill. The other thing is that it has more damage, which I used to believe was of the opinion that it doesn't really matter if the damage is not like lethal, if that makes sense. In other words, in this example, M995 has 40 damage. You would need to hit someone 3 times in the thorax to kill him, because the thorax has 85 HP, right? Because if we hit him twice, it's only gonna be 80 damage. Whereas this, you hit him 2 times in the chest, that's 90 damage. That's more than enough to kill a target, right? Let me show you a little thing called Tarkov Ballistics. So I just learned this recently. If the bullet penetrates, it deals between 0% and 40% less damage based on an algorithm that uses the bullet's pin value and the armor class and durability percentage. I know you think a lot of words, Church, and I'm right there with you. That is a lot of words. There's a strong correlation between the penetration chance the penetrating round had and the damage reduction applied to it, okay? The higher the chance, the less damage reduction. You hear that? The higher the penetration chance, the less damage reduction. With high armor classes and high pin values of ammo having lower reductions than others. Okay. Most penetrations will be around 20% damage reduction when the bullet penetrates the armor. So if we take that to heart, or just face value, we can say that this is going to lose, when it penetrates, it's going to lose 20% of its damage, right? You see where I'm going with this. It's going to require 3 hits to kill, which we'll probably do a segment with Battle Buddy on my phone. All right, so here we are in the app on the phone. Pull up Battle Buddy, and this app was developed by Veritas. It's a very useful app. Shout out to Veritas. Really great app. You should go download it and use it. Okay, so, and it's available on iOS and Android. All right, so with that out of the way, free plug, let's go to our combat simulator. And basically what we can do, we can set up these 2 test subjects, and we're going to set them to fire all bullets fired would impact the thorax, which is what we want. And we can kind of just see roughly how a perfect scenario, very controlled firefight would play out. So here, let's load up the MCX. And we're going to put the AP rounds in, and we don't need head armor. Let's just load up a class 4 armor just to start there, and let's go with the trooper. Save, and we're going to do the same here, but on this guy, we're going to put him with the M4A1 and 55A1. Make sure he's shooting at the thorax. And we'll go with the trooper as well. All right, so we're gonna run a simulation, and we got some numbers down here. So what does this mean? Well, we got a win percentage, 91% for the Blackout, 0 for the M4, and we look at average time to kill, 0.1 seconds for the MCX, 0.2 seconds for the M4, shots to kill, 2.1, average shots to kill, 3.1. Okay, let's run a few more times and see if the results change. So same result, same result, same result, same result, same result. So what does that mean? Well, what's happening is the MCX is killing in 2 shots, whereas the M4, it is losing enough damage for it to not be lethal, requiring 3 shots to kill. Pretty interesting, right? So let's up the armor class. Let's put on the killer armor on both of these targets. Killer armor, save, run the simulation. All right, so a little bit less win percentage for the MCX. And let's look again. Average time to kill, 2.2. Average time to kill for the M4, 0.3. Shots to kill, 3.7. Shots to kill for the M4, 4.9. Let's run the simulation a couple of times. Same result, same result, same results, same result. And even we got a little bit of a worse result there. So again, MCX is given a very slight edge, right? Let's go ahead and put on the slick armor. Class 6 armor, right? One of the best armors in the game. See how they compare. And we see again, MCX, the gap is getting a little bit closer to each other, right? The win percentage is a little bit less. But you can see here, it's actually showing 5.0 shots to kill for the MCX, whereas the M4 is 6.2. But the point being here is that there is a difference, however small, which I think was just something that was perhaps overlooked when the gun first came out because it was so dog doo-doo. So that's pretty interesting. It's not a huge thing, not something I would like lose sleep over, but it's something that I think has been overlooked since the fact that the MCX was so played down from the very get-go. A lot of people didn't like the gun. I used it and I hated the gun. I couldn't shoot because of the muzzle flash. But now I'm giving it a go just out of like pure boredom. It's actually, I've come to find it's actually really, really viable. The other thing I would say is it's actually, in my opinion, it's a better to compare the MCX to like an AK. Here we got the AK-103. We can see stat-wise, it's pretty good. I mean, it's suppressed and it has less recoil and it shoots faster. But you say, you know, let's look at the pricing, for example. Because typically the AKs to mod, they're pretty like cheap to like fully kit out. So without the sight, we're looking about 215K, right? And I think our MCX was pretty spot on with that, if I do recall, if not even cheaper. The caveat to that is, however, is these drum mags are pretty cheap from the vendor. So if you have the vendor unlocked, you can get 50 rounders for that. These mags here, they're extremely expensive right now, and they're 60s. So there is a bit of a caveat to that. I mean, this is like a third of the cost of this gun, which is kind of insane. But when we go back to our ammo, this is why I think it's a bit of a better comparison. And we look at 300 Blackout. Remember, we got 55 damage, 44 pin. The 7.62 by 39 AK has 58 damage and 47 pin and 68 armor damage. What's interesting is that I like this round a lot because it has the ability to actually, on the first shot, it has like a 50% chance of penetrating class 5 armor. So there's like a chance that you can actually 2-tap someone with an AK, which makes it really nice for time to kill. And however, the Blackout, since it's 44, I think if I remember correctly, it's like closer to 30% chance to pin class 5 on the first hit. And whereas M855A1, I think it's closer to like 10%. Even though it's like 1 point different, it's just like such, it's a really important. It just shows how important, I should say, penetration power is, no matter how many points we're talking difference. All right, so we'll switch back into offline, or we'll switch back into our stash. Here, the other advantage is that it has 800 rounds per minute versus the AKM's 600 RPM. So it's got a lot going for it. So honestly, if you're looking for a mid-tier gun, all right, I would recommend this gun, MCX. Slap a suppressor on its sight and you're good to go. For about 150,000 rupees, it's a great gun. Now, is it going to replace the meta M4s and HKs? Probably not. But you need to try this gun out since it's been buffed 3 times. That's gonna do it for this video. Alright, let's go frag, dude. That's gonna do it for this video. Comment below if I left something out or if you have any questions about the information covered. Also, be sure to check out the Scab Talk podcast, where me and my co-host Gigabeef share our thoughts on the game and really delve deep into some interesting Tarkov theory crafting discussions. Subscribe for more content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Ooh, that was a clean headshot.